G'day YouTube, Jujubear here. Welcome back. Now I'm going to be playing a battle against a dude called Bobi. Now Bobi is a better player than I am. He's a good guy. I had a look at his stats. He's played a couple hundred hours, whereas I've only got, I think I've got just under 100. So it was interesting to kind of step up a little bit and play against someone who has their game on point. So I have brought Syracuse. I'm just going to put this on slow motion for a second now. I brought Syracuse. My build involves 2 Balearic Slings at the front. I've got Pick Hoplite General, and in between these are 1, 2, 3 Sam Knight Warriors, and on the flanks I've got another Pick Hoplite over there and a Thorax Hoplite over here. So pretty strong center. They're able to hold out for very long. They haven't got heaps of killing potential or killing power, but they can hold out for a very long time. These Sam Knight units, mercenary Sam Knight Warriors, very tanky sword units, they can hold out for a very long time. Look at this, armor 95, health 65, and melee defense at 55. So quite good units. And the same with these Picked Hoplites, 105 armor, 61 melee defense, very tanky units. So I'm hoping to hold him in place and use some of my other units like this Hippeus Lancer and my skirmishers to pick apart the enemy. So I've got 2 of those Balearic Slingers up the front, and I've got 1 of these archers up the back, just in case we see anything that needs a little bit of... Do I have Flaming Shot in this guy? Yeah, a bit of Flaming Shot. It just seems to be a little bit of a habit that I've got at the moment, just to make sure I bring 1 unit that can use their Flaming Shots, just in case. So we got 2 Citizen Cav on the... 1 Citizen flank, Cav on that flank, and 1 Mercenary Companion Cavalry on this flank. These guys are very expensive units, but they are sometimes they are very useful. They do have Flying Wedge, so you can get them into melee combat with some enemy horses if you play it right. But these guys are going to be... I'll want to get them in against squishy targets and pulling apart enemy horsemen. I'm just hoping that he looks at my army, sees that I've got 1 Citizen Cav over on this flank, and just assumes that this is a Citizen Cav over here as well. So I've also got 1 Citizen Cav up the back, just kind of hanging in the rears, and I'm backing up my cavalry engagements with Thorax Hoplites. Now these guys, and I've got 1 behind my general just in the center here. Now Thorax Hoplites are one of the better units that the Syracuse have access to. Decent weapon attack and weapon damage, but what you're investing in here is their armor and melee defense again. Their holding power. These guys are fairly tanky for the price. I think it's like 720 or 740 talons for those units, and it seems to be a fairly good investment. So what I'm doing here is I'm moving across onto 1 flank so I can kind of work on this flank and overwhelm and destroy and move on to the next flank and hold them out with my other units. So you can see he's stretched really wide at the moment, so I can kind of just get local superiority of this area here, while he has to bring all of these other units over from this side, and it will probably take him quite a while to do that. So my opponent, we were talking about rules at the start of the game. I think it was like max 4 of the same unit, max 14 of the infantry. My opponent actually said my bad, and he was like, oh, I forgot my own rules. Do you want to restart? And I was like, nah man, let's just play it, let's see how it goes. So he's got 4 of these Celtic Warriors at the front, backed up by 4 Thorax Swordsmen. Good choice. He's got a Hippeus Lancer General, and he's got 2 Massilian Hoplites raiding in the rears, 2 Axe Warriors, and a Massilian Cavalry and a Tarentine Cav on each flank. I'm pretty sure he's got the same thing over here, with the addition of another Massilian Cavalry. So I'm going to put this on play. We'll see how it turns out. So I am moving up on this position. I can see that he's chasing off my Citizen Cav over on this flank. So I'm going to take the initiative and get a charge into this Massilian Cav and absolutely wreck it with my Hippeus Lancer. So he wasn't able to catch me, so... And then I'm going to turn my Campanian Cav around and get into these Massilian Cav and overwhelm them and destroy. So he's got these Tarentine Cav. I almost caught them as I pulled through, but he's going to have a hard time pulling out of these engagements. My Hippeus Lancers are very heavy, so he is able to pull out fairly successfully. But not before they take a fair few losses, 15 losses for none on my part. So what I'm doing is throwing my Citizen Cav up against those Axe Warriors, just getting some kills. My Campanian Cav made short work of those Massilian Cavalry. I'm going to throw my Picked Hoplites in up against these Axe Warriors, but not before I get a nice charge with my Hippeus Lancers. So I've knocked over a few of them, and I'm going to immediately pull out with my Shock Cavalry, because that's not where I want them to be at this point. I'm bringing my Thorax Hoplites around this edge. I'm going to get them into this fight at some point. I am losing this Citizen Cav because it's very weak, and these Axe Warriors are pulling him down quicker than I can take care of them. So at this point, he knows what I'm doing. He's going to try and bring all of his units around, but it's a fair bit of micro to do this. I'm going to slam into these Axe Warriors or Celtic Warriors with my Citizen Cav and throw my Thorax Hoplites in. He has engaged me in the center. As I pull out with my Thorax Hoplites, I'm going to get another charge in with my Hippeus Lancer on this Axe Warrior. Get a fair few kills and then pull out again. I don't know where I'm going with that guy. Yeah, I'm pulling right back. My Companion Cav has killed the other Massilian cavalry that was waiting around. So at this point, I assume that he does think that that this is a Citizen Cav. So my plan kind of worked. All along the center, we're getting engagements. My Sam Knight Warriors up against Thorax Swordsmen and Celtic Warriors. They should be able to hold out and eventually overwhelm those guys and win that battle. So I've got these Thorax Hoplites up against the Celtic Warriors. They'll probably make pretty short work. He actually catches me with these Celtic Warriors over there. Bad micro on my part. So I'm going to face up against his Axe Warriors with my Thorax Hoplites. This probably is not an engagement that I want to be in, but there's probably not much I can do about it at this point. I'm going to pull my Hippeus Lancers around. My Companion Cav are going to get into his Hippeus Lancers. He wasn't able to get a counter charge. My picked Hoplites over here pulled apart whatever unit that was, Celtic Warriors. So I'm going to pull my Sam Knight Warriors around and come into the back of these units here. He does pile on a lot of cavalry into this fight, but my Companion Cav are going to excel in this kind of battle, especially against something like Hippeus Lancer, who are not very good in extended melee combat. So melee attack on this Companion Cav is 72, which is pretty intense, and 41 weapon damage, very good at this kind of thing. Though we are taking a lot of shots from this Tarentine Cav over here, and the friendly fire in Rome 2 is not nearly as severe as it used to be in other games. Now I'm just holding him off with my Thorax Hoplites while my Balearic Slingers are able to take shots at whatever targets they want. At this point, I'm going to throw my picked Hoplites into this engagement here, because they'll excel with their bonus versus large, but he does the clever thing and pulls out his Cav, even though my Companion Cav are chasing him. So his Hippeus Lancer down to 52 men. Didn't do as much of damage as I probably hoped to do in that engagement. But his Tarentine Cav are getting excellent shots into my Companion Cav all the while. So I get a pretty good charge with my Hippeus Lancer against his Tarentine Cav there. But I was actually chasing his Hippeus Lancer. So my opponent does a very good job of holding me off there. I get a good rear charge with my Companion Cav. They get a half decent charge bonus at 33. This is a Massilian Hoplite, so they're not just going to crumble. They're going to be quite powerful in this battle and hold up for a very long time. He is chasing my skirmishers with his Massilian Cav. They're going to do well in that engagement. I'm going to have to pull out some units here to defend them. Bad micro here. I should be bringing this Thorax Hoplite in to help out. This Hippeus Lancer is going to be held down by this medium missile Cav. If I pull out, everything else in this engagement is as heavy or lighter than I am. So it's going to cause me quite a bit of damage. So I'm just going to have to leave him there for the moment. This Tarentine Cav is still shredding my Companion Cav, but we are managing to get rid of this Massilian Hoplite finally. I'm going to take some shots with my skirmishers into this Tarentine Cav. They've just about done enough damage, I believe, so I'm going to try and silence them at this point. My picked Hoplites are in bloody Hoplite Wall here. If he would have brought this Massilian Hoplite out of formation attack, they probably would have done really well. They could have wrapped around my unit, but he gets a very nice rear charge with his Tarentine Cav. I do manage to catch his Massilian Cav with my Thorax Hoplites over there, so I'm going to shred him. His general's doing pretty well. 49 men left, 45 kills. Most of them are on Companion Cav, so he's doing quite well. Along the main line, I'm actually winning, so I'm going to pull across a couple of units. This is the problem though. I'm throwing my units in and I'm not supporting. I don't have any support helping out. So I kind of have not been doing so well in that department. All the while, his Massilian Cav is wrecking my skirmishers up behind my lines. This Thorax Hoplite finally gets pulled apart by a combination of Celtic and Axe Warriors. So doing a really good job over there on that flank of just holding them up and causing some damage. He does a clever thing and pulls out his Tarentine Cav, and he's going to go after my skirmishers at this point, who are pretty vulnerable, just kind of flailing in the breeze there. So he's going to get in and cause me a bit of pain. This battle's still going on with my picked Hoplites. They probably still could win this battle against these guys, but we'll see how it turns out. He does still have his Hippeus Lancer ready for a rear charge though. I am wrapping up the main the main fight in the center, and I'm going to split these guys up and go into the back of these units and try and support in this fight over here. He does have a couple of units left over. These Celtic warriors and axe warriors and stuff are kind of waiting in the rears. He is destroying my skirmishes faster than I can take shots at them, so probably a very good idea in his part. I've lost all my mobility by just like throwing away my cav. That was a mistake earlier on in the game to throw them out like that. I get a pretty good jav toss off with my Sam Knight warriors, but I'm going to get charged in the rear by this Massilian cavalry over here. So not so good. I'm going to try my best to catch them as they pull away and get some good kills. My picked hoplites at 43 men is still doing okay, holding up the Massilian hoplites, but at this point they've lost too many men to make a real effect on this battle. All the while in the center down here, my picked hoplite general and thorax hoplites back here are duking it out, but it's just not enough killing power. This build, I feel I was pretty happy with the build overall, but there was no proper killing power. I had the Hippeus Lancers, and they were fairly good at getting behind and doing rear charges, but that was not what I used them for. I kind of just threw them into little engagements like this that didn't really end up going my way. So I'm going to throw my Sam Knight warriors into these Celtic warriors, probably shred them in the process. And I've got these Sam Knight warriors duking it out with the thorax swordsman. So he has got lots of mobility left on the field in the form of these Tarentine Cav and these Hippeus Lancers. Double XP Chevron on his general there. And they're going to get a nice rear charge into the back of my, what's this unit here? This thorax hoplite. So in shield wall, their melee defense actually goes up to 77, and their morale up to 66, and their melee attack to 36 as well. So very good units. I'm still figuring out a way of making them work, but obviously this build just didn't have the potential of killing the enemy quick enough. So I am pulling down enemy units left, right, and center, but it's too little, too late at this point. It's taking too long. I'm not really taking too many casualties on one-on-one engagements, but you know, he was able to come around into my rear, and he was able to come into my rear and cause me problems. So that sounds dirty. Now I've got mercenary companion cav on 120 kills, really paying for themselves, pulling down a couple of those Massilian cavalry there. I think it was probably these two here that got 3 and 1 kill, but the rest of his cav that was left on the field, he did utilize very well. Particularly his Tarentine Cav, eventually pulling apart my Companion Cav, and this Massilian Cav pulling down a lot of my skirmishes there. These Thorax Hoplites getting quite a lot of kills actually, 103 and 107, 101 all across the board. Very good investment in those units. His picked Hoplites also probably paying for themselves. I don't really know, probably not. I don't know. Balearic Slingers, I did not utilize these guys correctly. I didn't defend them. I didn't have enough kind of mobility left in the field to defend them. So that's where I was kind of caught out. And these Sam Knight warriors doing a fairly good job as well. Probably paying for themselves, doing a nice bit of work there. So thanks, Bobi, for the game. I don't know if he has a YouTube channel. Otherwise, I would kind of do a shout out. But I'll probably be playing a couple of games with him in the future. But that was good to kind of play against someone who was not only a decent guy, but you know, was good at the game and knew what they were doing. So yeah, we'll see you guys next time. This is Jujubear signing out.